Hi, welcome back to the Good Noise Podcast. We're here with Nova Robotics Initiative, and we're going to ask them some questions today. Shane's going to start.
Sounds good.
So what inspired you to start the band, and what does the band name mean?
Yeah, so I've been making music for, probably 15 years or so. I just turned 30, so I started making music in bands around the area when I was 15 in high school. But I haven't been a solo musician for very long. I used to play drums a lot in bands or rhythm guitar, but I wanted to do my own thing, and so I wanted to start a solo project where I do 100% of everything by myself. Guitar, bass, drums, mixing, mastering, everything,
Wow.
all by myself. And so I started Nova Robotics Initiative. The band name is actually based off of the movie Short Circuit. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. It's a movie from the 80s about a robot that gets struck by lightning and then gains personality. The company that makes the main character, Johnny Five, is a company called Nova Robotics. And then I added initiative on the end because it sounded good in my head. The problem is, as a lot of people quickly find out, that's quite a lot of words for a band name, and it's a lot of characters. I think it's something like 28 characters, so if you try and tweet anything with my name in it, it takes up 10% of your possible tweet, just saying my name, so you win some, lose some.
Yeah. It sounds cool, though. So, you won that part, you know?
Yeah, but I have never had the reaction of, holy fuck, that's a long band name before. So...
Good.
Yeah, it's long, and the most common thing that that I found when talking with people is like, you're Nova something, and I'm like, yep, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, close enough. Yeah.
Close enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god. Okay. So, what is your writing process like?
So I usually start with lyrics. So I came up listening to a lot of folk and folk punk music. Some of my all-time favorites are people like AJJ. I also really like some classic folk artists, like the Woody Guthries, the Phil Oakes, that type of classic folk. John Prine is a big inspiration of mine. And so my main thing is always the words, right? I want to say what I'm feeling or what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
But because of how my brain works, I also am constantly like making jokes. So a lot of my songwriting process is I think of a little two-line bit of a song, like a part of a verse or something, of these two words that rhyme, but it's some kind of turn of phrase. And so it makes me laugh in my head, and because it does that, I'll write that down, and then I'll make an entire song based off of usually just that like one couplet.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah,
I
that's
love
really
that.
cool.
Okay.
Yeah. So you just dropped an EP called More Songs About Divorce and Beer. How do you feel about the response to that so far?
It's another long title, isn't it?
You and your
great.
words.
So the title of it is actually based off of More Songs About Buildings and Food by Talking Heads, and the album art was actually made by the owner of the record label, Danny. I'm on Knife Punch Records, and they heard the name of the EP. They knew that it was a reference to Talking Heads, and they took the same style and made it into the album art that it is, from a picture of me playing at a show. So that's kind of where where the name came from. As far as response goes, the thing that I'm pretty excited about is people seem to really like the lap steel solo on the second song on the EP. Which is great because I had never played lap steel before I started recording that song. I inherited my grandpa's lap steel when he passed away. He passed away over 20 years ago, but his lap steel was in a closet somewhere, and my grandma was moving out of that house and found it, and she's like, "Oh, Eric plays music. I'm just going to give it to him," even though I have no idea how to play lap steel. I don't play country music really, so you don't hear it a lot in punk, but she thought it would be a good gift to have, and so it's like a 1960s lap steel, and I learned how to play it literally for that purpose of that song. And I think the fact that people really like the solo, it's a pretty good confidence boost, I guess.
Yeah, bro, you might be like bringing something new into the punk scene. That's so cool.
Yeah. So my favorite punk musician is Jeff Rosenstock, and on Can't Complain from Bomb the Music Industry, he has a lap steel solo in that song, and it's like incredible. It's my favorite part of that whole song. And so when I got the lap steel, the first thing I was like, I'm going to learn how to play that solo. It's too hard. I can't do it. But I'll get there eventually. But I decided I'm going to try and do something similar on my EP because I like him so much.
Wow, that's wonderful. Okay. So where was your headspace while writing that record?
Yeah, so like all of my music up to this point, really a lot of it came from my divorce. I got divorced in 2017, and I got very, very depressed following that. And so it was a lot of working through those feelings of the depression and the anxiety that came out of it by writing these songs. Again, the way that my brain works, there's always some kind of joke going on. So it would take this sad thought I had in my head and turn it into some kind of weird, jokey kind of couplet. And so a lot of it was that, but the last song on the EP, Stoutosaurus, is probably the rawest song I've ever written. There's like very little that's funny in that song. I think if anything, there's nothing, like there's one line that's potentially funny. But that song is very much a journal of like how 2017 as a year went for me. And it was like, it's one of those things that it's tough to write, but it feels good to have it out, you know?
I get that.
That makes sense.
So when you're making music, what artists are your biggest inspirations?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, Jeff Rosenstock, huge inspiration when it comes to punk. I think he's absolutely brilliant. Probably one of the best musicians, if not the best musician making music today. Also, my all-time favorite band is They Might Be Giants. You caught me on one of the weird days where I'm not wearing a They Might Be Giants t-shirt. But they've been my favorite band since I was 11 years old, and they always will be. And that's kind of also where that kind of jokey kind of wording and phrasing comes from, because a lot of their songs have some kind of twist of phrase, but also a lot of their songs are quite sad if you actually listen to the lyrics and like figure out what they're saying. It's like, oh, that's actually kind of a bummer, but they do it in this kind of joking kind of way, and that's a huge inspiration for me lyrically. And Jeff Rosenstock's where all the punk stuff comes from, I guess.
Sick. Good choices, yeah.
Thanks.
So is there a certain feeling or emotion you want your listeners to have while listening to your music?
Want them to have? That's a tricky one. The thing I think I want people, generally speaking, the thing I want people to come away from Nova Robotics Initiative thinking is like, hey, I could do that too, right? Listen, if you guys listen to that EP, I'm not the best singer in the world. Everyone can agree with that. The music isn't all that complex structurally. It's a lot of, the 50s doo-wop chord structure or pop punk kind of chord structure. So there's nothing in it that's too complicated. So I want people to listen to it and think like, hey, this person is making their music. They're singing about the way that they feel. I could do something just like that. And hopefully it inspires people to make music. That's kind of like the goal of all of this, right?
Okay, that's cool.
So I know you just dropped the EP like 3 days ago, but are there any new projects in the works that you can tell us about?
Yeah, so even though that EP just came out, I already have 10 songs written for the next full length.
Jesus Christ.
And 4 more kind of half done that will be the EP following it. I've recently been listening to a whole lot of like 60s country music. So the 4 that are like half written are country songs, which is weird, but I don't know. It's been like in my head lately, a lot of A7 and D7 chords like that like real bluegrassy country rockabilly style chord. So I've got an album and a half already written. I just need to start recording it, which I will start doing soon.
Wow. All right. It's exciting.
Yeah.
So where do you see the project in the next 5 years?
In the next 5 years. Okay. So I think what's most likely going to happen is I'll continue writing my weird, sad songs that I guess are part country now. I don't know. But this weird punk emo country 50s doo-wop thing that is just a mess. But I'll probably keep writing that. But the other thing is I've been experimenting with a lot of different styles. So like recently, I've been getting into modular synth.
Okay.
Which this thing makes a whole bunch of weird beeps and boops and annoying sounds.
Yeah.
Like everything I own makes a bunch of beeps and boops and annoying sounds, and so I think I might make some kind of electronic album at some point.
All right.
I don't know how that's going to go because I've never tried doing it before, but experimenting in something that's totally different, giving people a break from my voice would maybe be positive for my music. But I don't know. We'll see, I guess, as it goes. I'm not really a planner. I go with the flow.
That's fair. That's fair.
So for the last couple questions, we're going to shift away from music and go straight to death row. So if you're on death row, what would your last meal be with a drink?
Last meal, not necessarily favorite meal, huh?
Yeah.
So
if it's last meal.
If it's my last meal, I think I'd probably go sushi. Sushi's my favorite food, but it's one of those ones that you can't eat it every day; you'd get sick of it.
Yeah.
But I think I'd go sushi. And as for drink, I would go with a Japanese whiskey, like a Yamazaki 12 or something along those lines.
Solid. So if you could live in one fictional world for a week, where would you live?
Live in one fictional world for a week.
Mm-hmm.
I think. So, it's a complicated question because if I'm actually living in that world, like for example, let's say I choose something like the world of Elder Scrolls and Skyrim, right? There's a high chance that there's a dragon that swoops by and kills me immediately.
Yeah.
And then I'm screwed.
That's it. Yeah.
So you want to, if you're gonna actually live for a week, you want to go for something maybe safe, like a Pokemon type universe would be the safest. But if that wasn't a concern, me dying immediately, I think I'd maybe go with something like Star Trek, just to see what's out there. That'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah, that'd be
I don't know.
tight.
It's hella dangerous though.
Yeah, just a little bit, but hey, it's cool though.
Yeah, that's a really tricky question. I mean, if you can see the beans, this behind me. I'm a big comic book fan. These are all Justice League and Legion of Superheroes stuff. So Legion of Superheroes would be really awesome. That's a DC comic set in the 30th century. That would be a really neat world to be in as well. But again, anytime you involve superheroes, it's going to go bad really fast.
Yeah.
So you don't know if you want to live there, right?
Yeah. It's complicated.
Yeah. And I have the honor of asking the last question, and everyone we've spoken to has said the most important question. What is your favorite color?
My favorite color is probably gray. I like gray, generally speaking. It's neutral, but it has kind of texture to it, so it's not like white or black, something that's very neutral.
Yeah.
But gray is kind of this interesting texture. We used to say blue a lot, but I don't think it's actually blue anymore.
Okay.
If I really think about it.
All right, I get that. So as I said, that's all the questions we have today. Is there anything you would like to plug?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to listen to my new EP, More Songs About Divorce and Beer, that would be great if you could listen to it. It's 5 songs long. There are physical versions as well. I'm not going to plug that. I don't make my music to make money. I actually have a pretty decent job. You should give your money to artists that actually are trying to grind this stuff every single day. They really deserve it. So go find some local band that is trying to make it as a rock band, or a local musician trying to make it as a singer-songwriter. Give them your money. They deserve it. But if you want to listen to mine along the way, sure, I guess.
All right. Wholesome. Plug in other artists. You'll have to see it. All
Yeah.
right. So this has been Nova Robotics Initiative, and we're the Good Noise Podcast.